I'm explaining a film from 2017 titled Extortion. Spoilers ahead. Enjoy the content. Kevin Riley, a character in the first scene, is vacationing in the Caribbean with his wife Julie and son Andy. Lucas, their neighbor, bids them a happy trip as they are leaving the house. Andy asks his father a number of questions because he is so enthused and interested about the holiday. When Andy questions his father about the treasure islands during the journey, Kevin replies that the pirates use them to conceal their wealth. When the family gets to the Caribbean, they start having fun on their trip. At his son's request, Kevin heads to the shop to pick up a jet ski, but the order is already filled for that day. So, thinking it would be safer, he gets a private boat and goes out on it with his family. After some time, they are far from shore, so Julia recommends that they head back. While Kevin is turning the boat, Andy spots an abandoned island and urges his parents to go check it out. As the father and son arrive on the island, Julia chooses to read a book while sitting on the beach. Before going back to Julia, Kevin and Andy each tour the island. After that, they board their boat to head back, but Kevin is unable to start it. He makes many unsuccessful attempts to start the boat. There's not another boat in sight. Kevin does not know anything about car engines, he is a doctor by trade. They find themselves stuck on the abandoned island as night comes. When Julia wakes up the next day, she discovers Kevin attempting to repair the boat. It seems like Kevin's battery is dead. There's nothing to eat, so they're all thirsty and hungry. Ultimately, the island is empty. They hear no response as they shout for help after spotting a boat in the distance. Julia is worried and thinking about how to get out of it, but Kevin convinces her by saying he won't allow them to pass away there. The next day, they discover Andy's heart is beating due to insufficient blood pumping. They remain in the water until someone finds them because they are afraid. While Kevin navigates the boat away from the abandoned island, Julia stays in the boat with Andy. Kevin eventually becomes exhausted and nods out on the boat. The next morning as Kevin awakens, he sees a boat. One of the fishermen comes over to them as he calls out for help. At that moment, heat exhaustion and dehydration had rendered Julia and Andy asleep. The fisherman asks them what happened and gives them some water. Kevin tells the fisherman that his son has to be transported to the hospital immediately after explaining everything to him. The fisherman asks them $1 million in return for helping them. Kevin offers $40,000 in response to the price because that is all he has. The fisherman demands $40,000 before agreeing to help them. Since he can't do anything, Kevin decides to offer them $1 million when they get to town. The fisherman uses a boat paddle to knock Kevin down as soon as he accepts the arrangement. After a little while, Kevin comes to and is tied in the fisherman's boat, which is being piloted by Jorge, the fisherman's companion. When Kevin asks the fisherman about his wife and children, he replies, "Back on the island." According to the fisherman, they would go to town, transfer the funds, and then come back to support Kevin's family. Kevin says he would still pay the fisherman the money, therefore he asks to be sent back to his family. The fisherman takes him to town when he refuses. The fisherman cautions Kevin from making any stupid decisions because there are thousands of islands back, and he is the only one to know where Kevin's family is. Kevin makes arrangements for the money as soon as they get to town by calling a few of his buddies and Lucas from the phone booth. Afterwards, he visits the bank to deposit the money into the fisherman's account. Kevin is asked to board the next boat and follow the fisherman. As soon as Kevin gets on the boat, the fisherman locks him inside and says he will let Kevin know when they reach the island. Concerned, Kevin begs the fisherman to unlock the door, but he turns a blind eye. Then, with no other option, Kevin follows them. In the middle of the ocean, the fisherman dives into Kevin's boat and starts to wreck it. Kevin cautions him against doing so. He tries to reassure the fisherman that he will not tell anyone about him. He also begs on behalf of his family. Jorge seems dissatisfied as he surveys it from the boat. Kevin is left to perish in the middle of the sea with the boat when the fisherman smashes it and takes off. Kevin uses a lever to smash through the window and get out of the boat. His leg hurts in the meanwhile. After swimming up, he encircles his wound with his t-shirt. Before being picked up by any old boat, he floats on the sea for some time. In the evening, Kevin calls the police, and Detective Constable Hagen comes over. Hagen tells him the U.S. Coast Guard commander will take him through the rescue plan and that the U.S. Embassy has been contacted. The skipper predicts that searching the whole maritime region will take a week. Given that his family won't be around for very long, Kevin is enraged with the captain. So that he may bring them to his family, Kevin asks Hagen to find the fake fisherman. They don't know who that man is, therefore Hagen says it's not a smart idea. Because Kevin hired the boat distance from the resort, transferred a significant amount of money to an unidentified account, and went with a mysterious boatman, Hagen further doubts Kevin's trustworthiness. However, Hagen asks that he stay in the hotel and relax until they send out a search team. Thinking back on the fisherman's remarks, Kevin heads back to his hotel room. After he thinks for a bit, he runs to Hagen and begs him to find the fisherman through his buyer, thinking that the fisherman must have the purchasers. However, Hagen doesn't think this is the appropriate thing to do. To go to the location where the fishermen sell their catch, Kevin therefore hails a cab. When he arrives, nothing helpful is present. With a heavy heart, Kevin heads back to the cab and discovers the driver has a cut on his hand that looks like the fisherman's. About the wound and the place he had treatment, he asks. Drive him to the hospital, where the driver tells him that's the only place that can treat it. Upon reaching the hospital, he reports all of this to the physician and asks about the fisherman's whereabouts. In violation of the law, the doctor declines to divulge any information on the other patient. After a few questions, the doctor leaves, enabling him to search the computer for the relevant data. Kevin finds out the fisherman's address and name are Miguel Caba. Carrying a little medical knife, he makes his way over to the fisherman's house. Kevin pulls up to Caba's house. He sees a mother sitting with her sick child. While Kevin is asking questions about him and Jorge, Caba walks inside the house. Caba refuses Kevin's plea to be sent back to the island. After Kevin begins hitting him, Caba's wife points the crossbar at him and demands that he leave the country. Kevin captures Caba's second daughter at the same moment in an attempt to blackmail him. Kevin demands that the gun be taken away. However, Caba unintentionally pulls the trigger on the crossbow, and the arrow enters Kevin's stomach as well as Caba's, wounding Kevin and killing Caba's daughter. When Caba tries to kill Kevin out of anger, Kevin defends himself by stabbing Caba with the surgical knife, rendering him comatose. Kevin finds himself in a hospital, his wrist cuffed, after he regains consciousness. Hagen confronts him and says he hired the fisherman to kill his family, as well as the fisherman's daughter. Kevin is informed by the U.S. Embassy's deputy head of mission, Brian Sweeney, that the matter is now being investigated as a homicide rather than a missing persons case. He also tells him that no one believes his account, thus the hunt for his family has been put on hold. Kevin demands the removal of a police officer's handcuffs after becoming agitated and stealing his revolver. Then he runs out of the hospital. Kevin goes to the harbormaster office the next day after buying some clothes for himself. When he asks about Caba's yacht, he doesn't get any useful information. After that, Kevin has an idea and uses the phone booth to call Brian. Brian is given the task of finding Jorge's phone and bringing him and the translator to the main square. Brian offers to carry out Kevin's surrender in exchange. Kevin later spots Hagen in the main plaza with many police officers there, but Jorge is nowhere to be seen. After that, he uses the phone booth to get Hagen's number. Hagen makes an effort to convince him to give up by saying that he believes him and that there isn't any option. Kevin, on the other hand, turns his back on Hagen and heads out to catch a bus. Kevin finds Jorge inside the bus and gives him a call. When Jorge spots Kevin, he leaps from the bus and starts running. Kevin pursues him, stops him, and requests that he tell him about the island where his family is stranded. Kevin is being approached by Jorge when the vehicle suddenly knocks him down, severely hurting him. Jorge nevertheless indicates the spot on the map where Kevin's family is stuck. Kevin then threatens a few individuals with a rifle and seizes their double-engine speedboat. A single individual reports it to the harbor patrol. He fills the boat's petrol tank, and the harbor patrol spots him and pursues. Kevin begins to run away as a consequence. Kevin disregarded the numerous alerts from the harbor patrol. Then Kevin gets shot by the harbor patrol. When Kevin fires up the second engine, the boat speeds up and manages to get away from the harbor patrol. When he gets to the island a few hours later, he makes a loud call to his wife. Following the tracks, he finds his son and wife asleep on the ground. After verifying that his spouse is still alive, he offers her some water. Running over to his kid, he administers CPR. A few seconds later, Andy starts breathing normally again, which makes Kevin feel relieved. Before going back to get his wife, he brings his son to the boat. While taking his spouse to the boat, he passes out, and they both pass out on the sand. They are discovered after some time when a chopper comes. This is the end of the recap. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, do subscribe, like and comment if you'd like to see more videos like this. Hope to see you next time.